In 1984, one movie conquered the imagination of the entire world and unleashed some real Wrath of God type stuff. This episode, we're releasing on February 14th, 2016, in honor of the end of the world. Well, as predicted in Ghostbusters 2 anyway. And if you're listening to this, it didn't happen, which means we're all going to live and see the upcoming reboot of the franchise later this year. Many people seem to have differing emotions on how Hollywood is remaking this. And while I have total faith in Paul Feig, I really do, I get the reservations. Ghostbusters is just one of the most treasured properties in all of Hollywood. Many people think you can't touch this. It's also the most requested film to remake for our show. I can't tell you how many emails and requests we've gotten for Ghostbusters. And we've always avoided it. Honestly, we've avoided it like the plague because we kind of feel the same way. We don't want to remake it. It's perfect. It's perfect-ish. So leave it alone. But that's what we're here for. Even if we love the original, if it's getting a remake and we think maybe we can do something, let's give it a shot. Let's see if we can improve it or at least make it different. Make it something that stands on its own. And I think we do. I think it takes a little bit because we're really nervous about messing with perfection. We do get there. So slap on your proton pack, sit down, relax, because we're about to take this gigantic Twinkie head on and show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown. It's time to remake Ghostbusters right. Hello, my fellow cinematic architects, and welcome to Remake This Movie Right. We are a member of the Hollywood Outsider Network. Listen to episodes of Remake This Movie Right on iTunes, where reviews are appreciated, your podcast app of choice, or just visit the website at RemakeThisMovieRight.com. Remake This Movie Right is a show that takes an original film that has an actual remake in the works. This one's coming out pretty quick. Figure out what still clicks and what doesn't, throw a little bit of humor at it, and then we determine exactly how Hollywood should remake it. So by the end of each episode, we will have the remake ready to roll for Hollywood execs and presented to you in movie trailer form. We are here to tell Hollywood how to remake this movie right. I am your host, Aaron Peterson, and joining me today are two of our alumni who have been featured in the AV Club, by the way. So this is an all-star recording, is what I would say. First up, you might remember his previous offerings on Clue, Pet Sematary, and he is the man that fled all the way to Russia to turn gremlins into Kremlins. Mr. Hollywood Outsider himself, Brian Williams.
Good evening, Aaron. Good evening. Glad to be back. It's been a little while since the three of us have gotten together, so I'm excited about this.
Yeah, that'll be fun. We can call this one Ghostbusters or something. Secondly, he's the host of The Blacklist Exposed and the recently launched 11/22/63 A Look Back. Did I say that right?
You got it.
Okay. You might remember him from previous episodes like Stephen King's It, Big Trouble in Little China, and Short Circuit. He's the guy we have to keep from going a little bit too out there, Troy Heinrichs.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be with you once again. It seems like I was just here a week ago and a week before that.
You sure were. Well, actually, that was like 2.5 months ago, but it only released like a week ago. So to everybody that's listening, hey, it's new.
It's new.
It's new. For this episode of Remake This Movie Right, this is probably the most requested one we've had. The 1984 classic Ghostbusters.
Which is probably the one we shouldn't be doing at all.
Yeah, probably. But guess what? Other people are, I hear.
Hell no. This is, we'll probably touch on it later, but this is a great candidate to be remade.
Ooh,
fighting words.
There's a spar already. I like it.
Rolling my sleeves up. Bring it on.
Where's my scissors? I feel a cut coming on.
Well, let's talk a little bit about it. In the 1984 classic, if you haven't seen Ghostbusters, A, shame on your parents, because it's probably their fault. But 3 former parapsychology professors set up shop as a unique ghost removal service, and then they hire another guy who everybody seems to forget about. That's really the simple plot. It's 4 guys out busting ghosts. That's all it is. And it opened on June 8th, 1984, and made $242 million domestically, just under $300 million worldwide. But when I say the word Ghostbusters, I want to ask you, both of you, what is the very first thing that pops in your mind, both of you?
The hearse.
The hearse, okay.
Their Batmobile, so to speak.
The Ectomobile. Is it the Ectomobile?
Right.
Is that what they call it?
Ecto-1.
Ecto-1. Troy, what's the first thing that pops in your head?
That's one big Twinkie.
Nobody thinks of who you're going to call? That's the thing you should be. Who are you going to call? I guess I'm alone.
No, that's pretty low down the list. I mean, if somebody says Ghostbusters, that's not what I think of. Now, if somebody legitimately asked that question, who are you going to call? I mean, Ghostbusters is the knee-jerk reaction to that. But
still, yeah.
As far as the other way around, Ghostbusters, that's not my go-to.
You'd almost go Stay Puft Marshmallow Man first. You'd go Don't Cross the Streams.
Yeah, exactly.
Slime Me. You don't think of who you're going to call.
So really, I'm screwed up.
It's true. This man has no penis. I mean, the list is up there. I mean, it's long. I hate to use that.
And
no pun intended.
We were debating that before the show, and Brian just confirmed. He says that man has no penis.
No, Brian was keeping it clean. It doesn't say penis in the movie. He doesn't say penis.
I know. I was just
he was keeping it clean.
Trying to.
I wonder if I have a clean version then.
You have to have a clean version if it says penis. Yes. This Ghostbusters did have the insanely popular song Ghostbusters, by Ray Parker Jr. I think, he might have had other hits. Nobody remembers any of them because all they remember is that one song. The movie spawned one sequel, which then forced a less amazing Bobby Brown song on us. And we could probably just forget about that sequel. It wasn't very good. Or are you guys in the camp that you were actually fans of that?
I like the second one.
Do you have the whole Statue of Liberty thing in
my notes? I've got one of the things that I think works for this movie, and of course we'll get to it in a minute. But it's the camaraderie, everybody in the city kind of banding together against this, but it's amplified 100 times in the second one, and I love that moment with the whole city. Everybody is singing the same song, and I think it's a very cool moment.
All right, well, we got somebody defending the sequel. There we go. This is a positive podcast.
The sequel, I think the problem with the sequel was that people looked at it and wanted what was in the original. I think there's a lot of stuff in the sequel that would work if it was done a little bit differently, which I think we'll pull in a little bit of tonight.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, well, the sequel, I think it was just one of those things to where Hollywood realized they had a hit and then got their hands involved with it more than they probably did the first time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is one of and there aren't many of them in my life, but this is one of those movies where if it comes on, if I'm flipping a channel and it's on, I stop. I have to watch it to completion. Like I have to watch to the end if I'm flipping the channel. Mm-hmm. Even though I've seen it probably 100 times, if not more, still have to watch it. It's just one of those.
Oh yeah.
You guys ready for some trivia before we get into the nuts and bolts?
Sure.
Yeah, I got a few things too.
Ooh.
Show me yours, I'll show you mine.
You don't have to show me. I'll just show you. Here's one. The original premise was called Ghost Smashers and had three main characters that were going to be played by John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, and Eddie Murphy. They fought ghosts in SWAT-like suits using wands instead of guns. The ghost named Slammer was known as Onion Head. And at the end of the movie, Ghostbusters businesses were all over the United States. However, with John Belushi's death and actors backing out, the script was rewritten and new actors were cast. I'm really I'm not glad Belushi died, but I kind of like that it went a different way.
That's a very small synopsis of what could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of funny that some of those ideas are some ideas that I thought about.
Oh,
that's why I wasn't answering, because I was like, that's kind of like what I was thinking about.
All right. Hold tight. Here's one that I think is hysterical. In the DVD commentary, Ivan Reitman says that he received a call from William Atherton complaining that the movie ruined his life. The character of Walter Peck was so hated that people would talk to Atherton as if they were giving the character Peck a piece of their mind. Apparently, more than once, physical fights actually have been started with Atherton in bars. That's awesome.
That is kind of funny. It's probably why we hate him so much in Real Genius, too.
That's right.
He's great at being hated.
You hear me, Kent? Sure. John Candy quit the role of Louis Tully because his ideas for the character were being rejected. According to the director, Candy's suggestions, he wanted the character to have a German accent and have a pair of Schnauzer dogs. What the hell was so weird? Other notable points, Gozer was originally supposed to be played by Pee Wee Herman's Paul Rubens, who turned down the role. Bad career move. In the original script, Gozer took on the form of Ivo Shandor, the Ghost Building's architect, who started the original Gozer cult. Oh, that's too bad. And the demonic voice of Dana Zuul was performed by director Ivan Reitman. That one I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
That was good.
Now I've got one more, but I'm going to wait because Brian, you said you had some, and this last one is really cool. So, what do you got?
The seductive ghost that unzips Dan Aykroyd's pants was played by his wife, Donna Dixon.
Oh, she was so attractive. I'm sure she is still, but.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Tavern on the Green restaurant with all the windows that Rick Moranis runs up to. The little girl that's having a birthday party is Debbie Gibson.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
And early concepts of the Ecto-1, the hearse that mentioned earlier, was black with purple lights, which I think sounds awesome.
If it's 1986 or 4 or something, now it would look awful.
Well, no way, man. Now it would look even sweeter.
Yeah, Vin Diesel behind the wheel. Now we got a remake. Vin Diesel in Ghostbusters, the new one.
You know, there's no more witch hunting to do, so why not Ghostbusters?
The Last Ghost Hunter.
There you go.
That's Ghostbuster.
I actually had two of my own.
Oh boy.
Brian gets to go. I get to go. The original trailer for Ghostbusters actually featured a 1-800 number, not a 555 number, which actually led to a pre-recording of Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd.
Saying what? Did they say who you're going to call? Oh,
I don't remember what they actually said, but they said they got about 1,000 calls per hour, 24 hours a day for 6 weeks.
Wow.
That is awesome.
What's the other one?
The firehouse that was the Ghostbusters home was actually remodeled as the mechanic shop in The Mask.
The Jim Carrey movie?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Well, look at all this trivia. We're just getting out to learn on. All right, you ready for the last one? This one's kind of sweet, I thought. After Harold Ramis passed away, fans of the movie paid tribute to him by visiting that New York firehouse using the exterior shots and created a makeshift memorial featuring Nestle Crunch bars in reference to Venkman giving Spengler a candy bar, and Twinkies in reference to Spengler using the Twinkie to describe the ghost problem in New York City. That's pretty cool, I thought.
That's one big Twinkie.
That's a big Twinkie. Okay, now we're going to go on to email us your thoughts on this week's show, casting ideas, or your short pitches to remakethismovie.right@gmail.com. It's remakethismovie.right@gmail.com, and we might mention them on the next teaser episode. But before we get to all that we're going to get to, let's hear one clip from one of the most famous movies of all time, Ghostbusters.
Pinkman, I saw it.
It's right here, Ray. It's looking at me.
He's an ugly little spud, isn't he?
I think he can hear you, Ray.
Don't move. It won't hurt you. Pinkman, what happened? Are you okay?
He slimed me.
That's great. Actual physical contact. Can you move?
Ray, come in, please.
I feel so funky.
I love that I feel so funky. I know everybody else would probably cut at he slimed me, but I'm like, I feel so funky. It makes me laugh every single time. Every single time.
Hey, you know the librarian ghost?
Yeah.
They actually used a more amped up version of that in Fright Night a little while later, of the same mechanical.
Oh, now I can see it.
Skeleton.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So there's one last piece of trivia nuggets for you.
You said to throw something else in and get that last word.
Yeah, it's one I forgot, but that scene reminded me of it, so slip it in there.
So let me ask.
Did you know that Larry King was actually in his film debut in this movie?
I did know that. I did know that one.
We're just going to do this for the rest of the night. To heck even remaking it, we're just going to quote Ghostbusters trivia.
Let's just talk Ghostbusters trivia for about 45 minutes or so.
Well, the reason why they used the Statue of Liberty in the second movie was because the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, to show its size, was actually going to come out of the water next to the Statue of Liberty.
I assume the special effects of 1984 couldn't pull that off.
Exactly right.
There's a lot of special effects in this one that they didn't really pull off very well, honestly, if you rewatch it.
Was that a dog?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Someone brought a cougar to that party.
I mean, I guess I should ask, how did you guys first take your turns? How did you first come into Ghostbusters? How did you first find it?
I think it was growing up, we had cable, I'm sure, and probably just stumbled across it one day and just was like, oh, this is kind of funny. I think it's probably because we saw Caddyshack, and then, Bill Murray is doing the stuff, so they were like, oh, let's go watch Bill Murray films, and I think that's how we stumbled across Ghostbusters.
Okay. Any big memories from that, or?
I mean, just the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man when you're a kid is totally cool. I think the fun part, of course, was Slimer, and everybody wanted to have a pet Slimer. as you're growing up, which is always fun. But other than that, yeah, I mean, back then you didn't realize like what a masterpiece this thing was until you got to be like in college, and then you're like, man, these one-liners are just so great.
Yeah, they still are used to this day. To this day. Brian, what about you? Where did it start for you as a fan?
From day one, really. When I can remember going to the movies to see it. Remember, it was a matinee. You know, it was just, I just thought it was hilarious. There was even jokes I was laughing. I mean, because I was probably 10 or 11. There was jokes I'm sure I was laughing at that I wasn't sure why I was laughing, but my dad was laughing at it. So, you know, I kind of figured it's funny.
Jokes by proxy?
Yeah. Like, I'll laugh now and figure it out later.
Like, how many times were you in the bathroom and you always heard, "Don't cross the streams"?
Still do. Still do. Same thing. I saw it opening weekend, and I was a big movie. That was like our thing when I was a kid. My mom would take me to like one movie a week because we didn't have a lot of money, and movies were like the escape for me. And I remember that was back in the day when movies actually played for like 6-8 months or something like that. I probably saw it 6 times, so it was like basically 6 of my weekly movie visits were spent going to see Ghostbusters. So I just absolutely loved it. And I guess that leads to, why did it stick with you? Like, why is this movie still just so relevant to everybody that I know that loves movies?
There's not one thing, but I think there's a lot of the comedic chemistry with the characters is top notch. The story itself is, I mean, it's not very deep, but it's solid. From the aspect of looking at it in 1984, you've never really seen ghosts in this capacity before. Most of your experience with watching ghosts in movies and TV were sheets that were just hanging or bad mirror jobs that made it look like there was some sort of apparition there. You never seen a green ghost eating hot dogs and trying to drink booze. So, I mean, there was that Saturday Night Live humor. So I just think it was just a combination. It was just, I don't know, just with the direction, the writing and everything, maybe it's just kind of like the perfect storm of material.
The one thing that's really great is that, I mean, you can even go back to 1984 and you're already having conversations about, you know, CG versus puppets and which one's better. Because, I mean, it's like the librarian is so good, right? And and that's a puppet. And then you got those glowy, floaty things that are going through the air when the containment system breaches. And you're just like, how did you do the puppets so well? And then you have these floaty things look so tacky.
Yeah.
And the dogs. If the dogs are stationary, they look great. But if they're moving at all,
that's bad. And it's always been bad. It's like, even when it first came out, that didn't look good. It just didn't. It just didn't. For me, I mean, similar to what Brian said, except the one thing that I remember or realize now that I'm watching it now is that I don't think at the time when it came out, there was really anything funny about ghosts. I think everything I can remember about ghosts before that was scary. It was a horror movie. It was, they're dangerous. They're a threat. Be careful of them. Be wary of them. They didn't make jokes about it. And here you've got 3 idiots that open up a business, do the most ridiculous thing ever. They do everything that people that are afraid of ghosts can finally do. We can catch your ghost, put him in a jar, stick him in the wall. You'll never see him again. And I think it was kind of like a wish fulfillment. It was something that had never been tapped. I don't remember ever seeing this story told. I still don't know if the story's been told again very well. And it's just something that really just clicked, man. Just nailed, the audience just went with it because it was so original and different and really simple. Like, it wasn't complicated. It's just nobody thought to do it before, you know? And I think that's really just spoke to a whole generation. And that was Bill Murray at his peak, Dan Aykroyd at his peak, Harold Ramis at his peak. Suppose Winston was at his peak. I mean, has he done anything else except The Crow?
What was the TV show? No, that was Meshach Taylor. My bad. I was thinking Designing Women or whatever it was called.
Different guy. Ernie Hudson, different guy. Yeah, different guy.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Just kidding, Ernie, if you're listening to it. We love you. Winston's a great character. So basically, for me, I would have to say pretty much everything works, even the special effects. So is there anything that doesn't work for you in this movie? Now that you've rewatched it, you've caught back up with it.
The only thing that really didn't work for me, I think, would be maybe the whole guise that they were professors in the first place. Like, you even open it up that said that they were like paranormal I can't even say that word.
Parapsychology.
Parapsychologist professors. It's like they weren't really professors. They just happened to get a grant to like do this stuff, but they weren't really teaching at this university, were they?
I think they were supposed to be. They just didn't do a very good job of it.
Right. So I mean, maybe that showcasing maybe some of their abilities as a professor, kind of like Indiana Jones style, maybe would have been helpful just to see like what their frame of reference was, because you just kind of meet Ray out of the blue, and it's like, whoa, who's this guy? And then the other thing that really bothered me after watching it again last night was the staircase coming up from Dana's apartment. Like you get the exterior shot, and she's still like maybe 40 floors away from the top of the building when the apartment explodes. And you're like, okay, where do those stairs lead? It's like they lead like 40 floors up yet, and they're already winded coming up to 20.
I like that. It's one of my favorite parts. It's like they didn't just cut to the top of the building. They actually, it's so far. It's so far. Brian, is there anything that doesn't work for you anymore?
It is dated a little bit, but I'll be honest, man, there's really not much that I can still watch it. And even with the bad effects, and we've kind of already addressed that, but, and that would pretty much be my only thing is the special effects. And even that, I would only say about half of them were pretty bad. Others they still kind of hold up. Really, there really wasn't. And I hate to say that because I even went into it going, all right, find 2 or 3 things that just don't work. And, maybe somebody that had a little bit more, I don't know, charm or something, like replace Sigourney Weaver. I thought she was a little bland in this, but that's just, splitting hairs, really.
Yeah.
You hate to use the word perfect, but this is one of those perfect-ish movies.
I'm not afraid to use it. It's if it's not perfect, it's damn near perfect, because when you can overlook things like the effects, because some of the effects are a little shoddy,
right?
Especially
you've got to watch it with an objective point of view, or you can't just this sucks. This is from 30 years ago.
Yeah, and it still holds. Like, here's how good the movie is, even when the effects don't work at all, and most movies that would take you completely out of it never takes me out of it. Still love it. I'm just like, man, it's so good. And it's not nostalgia either. It's like you said, that perfect blend of comedy and fun, and it's just so well done. And people at the height of their careers, man, just gelled perfect. And there's no Bobby Brown song. That helps. And I guess the question, this is where we're really split, is should the movie be remade? Now, Troy, you adamantly say no. So why?
I mean, after watching it last night, there's just so much of this movie isn't even like, I remember like getting slimed in the hallway or eating the hot dogs. It is the one-liners that are in this movie are just so fast and so crisp that you don't even recognize them until you watch it maybe a second or third time. And for me, that was like, I laughed out loud so many times last night that I actually woke my wife up, who was sleeping in bed next to me. I mean, it's so funny that it's like, there's no way you can do that comedy in a bottle again, even with the group of females that are doing the remake, there's no way they're going to be as funny as this was.
No, I couldn't agree more, but I think you can still redo it. Even if you take the formula that Vacation recently did and just basically copy that, you can still quote unquote remake it, but you're not really remaking it, because you're absolutely right. You're not going to duplicate that foursome, 5 if you count Sigourney Weaver. So I think you have to do something where, yeah, okay, we are acknowledging we're doing this, and this, and it is similar, but we're just kind of basically continuing the name. We're not really trying to recreate that movie like Gus Van Sant did with Psycho.
Oh no, we don't need a shot-for-shot remake of Ghostbusters. I don't think that's a good idea.
And just for clarity, Brian, Rick Moranis just shot you with his shrinking ray, because Rick Moranis is great in this too. So I'd say 6.
Oh boy,
yeah, fine.
Especially when he's the dog.
I think he should come out of retirement and do a cameo in whatever movie we were going to do. Just so you know, my answer to that is remake. I actually am kind of with Troy. I don't think you can remake this movie, but I think you can do like an extended universe. There's more than enough story to spread it out with the right talent. So I definitely think there's options. I just don't want the exact same story retold from anybody. Not the 4 ladies that are involved in the new remake, not our remake, no remake. I just don't see it.
I agree with that.
All right, well, let's get to our remake, because I think it's about time that's right, remade this movie right. Here's a clip from the original classic I think Brian said perfect movie.
Perfect-ish.
Well, there's something you don't see every day.
Tried to think of the most harmless thing. Something I loved from my childhood. Something that could never, ever possibly destroy us. Mr. Stay Puft.
Nice thinking, Ray.
We used to roast Stay Puft marshmallows by the fire at Camp Wakanda.
Ray has gone bye-bye, Egon. What have you got left?
Sorry, Beckman. I'm terrified beyond the capacity for rational thought.
Oh, no. Mother puss bucket.
It's all the random freaking lines that come out of nowhere. Like, what does even Mother Puss Bucket even mean? So funny. All right, guys.
I think one of my favorite ones was when Egon was under the desk and he was fixing the computer for Janine, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, you look like you would read books. And he's like, Prince dead. It's like it's 1984 and he's already calling the death of the newspaper.
He was right, wasn't he?
He was right. It was so funny.
He's 30 years ahead of his time. He was right. Man, so here's what we know about the intended remake right now, as of now. It comes out July 15th, 2016. This very year, it's coming out. So hopefully they'll hear our pitch and then run off and redo it real quick. I don't know if that's possible, but we'll see. This movie stars Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Chris Hemsworth, that's right, Thor's in it, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones, and it's directed by Spies Paul Feig. We're not going to be one of those shows where we go talk about how we do or don't like that idea, that casting. When the movie comes out, then we'll be able to tell. But we think we might have a better idea. So since Ghostbusters is definitely getting a remake, and because nobody really ever listens to us on how this should be done, we're going to decide how Hollywood should remake it correctly. All remake selections from this point forward that are debated are settled by a best of 3 votes. So if 2 people agree on whatever the concept is, we move forward. We don't spend another hour talking about it. We move forward and go to the next one, because the point is we're making one cohesive movie. Only exception is one of our hosts strongly disagrees with something. They want to go a certain way. They get 1 cut per episode, and they can yell cut and go whatever direction they choose, and we have to follow it, and you can't cut with a cut. Everybody got the rules?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Here's my idea. Does everybody want to throw out what their pitch is, and then we will pick the best storylines or start combining the two together to see what the best options are? Is that the best way to do this one? Because Ghostbusters is kind of a huge property.
Yeah, I think so. Brian says he's already got some stuff, and it sounds like my stuff might line up with Brian's. So I think we should just hear Brian's story and then see if we can either append to it or completely go against it.
I've got a pitch. Brian's got a pitch. Troy sounds like he has a pitch. So who wants to go first?
Honestly, this is one of the rare times, that I actually had to be careful because I had so many ideas about this. It's farther down the road, 20, 30 years, however you want to do it. You've got a number of franchises. You've got franchises in the Southwest. They're dealing with, all sorts of ghosts and stuff in the desert, maybe like a Great Lakes branch. They're dealing with like ghost wrecks, lighthouses, that kind of stuff. Southeastern branches, you've got like haunted plantations, but with any kind of other businesses, you can kind of max out. They're doing too good of a job, and maybe there's not enough paranormal activity going on to where they can kind of keep all the lights on, so to speak. So branches, franchise, start closing down a little bit.
Bitch, this is a lot of my idea. Go. All right.
But
I've got less of a book report now, just so you know.
There is this job that kind of it's big enough to where, hey, this is a big deal. This might open up a lot of, opportunities to kind of keep the franchise, the business going. I mean, you could have like a cruise, like a ship, maybe like a cruise ship or a military vessel. It disappears, maybe Bermuda Triangle, something like that.
Ooh.
And, maybe some of these branches that are closing down, a lot of people just kind of go their own ways, but you've got one person that kind of just hangs on. Like, I just know, I believe in this. I'm dedicated. They get called in. So you get people from all over the country in to kind of help out. And you can have anywhere, you could have the standard 4, which I think is probably the perfect number for this. Maybe as many as 5 or 6, but really not more than that. Maybe the ship disappears, kind of maybe like a Philadelphia experiment. It's gone for so long. He comes back and, it looks like it's only been gone for a couple of minutes. It's like ghosts have latched on in some shape, form, or fashion. Ghostbusters are kind of flown in to save the day. But this time warp thing, this time travel hole in the wall that they've done is they've kind of opened a door to where more paranormal disturbances have soaked in. Therefore, that's what saves their business by the end of the movie.
Okay, I like some of that. I'm going to go ahead and go since some of what he had is actually what I had. Okay, so I had the same thing 30 years later. The Ghostbuster business had once been booming, but lately, like everything else around the world, it's been dying down. Most of them have gone out of business, in my idea. My idea focuses on one in particular, still trying to get by in the heart of Louisiana. And I guess why I chose Louisiana is because if you do some research on like the most haunted places in the country, Louisiana comes up a lot. There's a lot of history there, a lot of vile things happen in that state, I guess. And so there's a lot of ghost stories. So my concept was I want a male and a female co-ownership of the business. They aren't together, but they'll have that will they, won't they chemistry, that sort of thing. But it doesn't become like a relationship. Just will they, won't they, and they have affection for each other. They're just friends. I think the guy's name is Jay Stantz, and he's Ray's son, who took over the business years ago. And the woman's name is Hannah, just because it was close to Dana in my mind. And then you have 3 other employees. You got 2 newbies and 1 longer-term trainer who shows the newbies and us, the audience, the ropes of how busting makes them feel good. That's kind of like how the movie would open, which is the trainer taking newbies through the whole steps of what Ghostbusters do. How they catch the ghosts, how they put them into the trapping system. And then, later we'll find out one of the newbies is selling secrets to a competitor. But Jay's dad, Ray, because I guess just because it rhymed, that was the easiest thing for me. It's a cameo, and he calls Jay at the beginning to tell him there seems to be a significant rise of sightings in his general area. Check it out. So Jay and Hannah do that, and they trace the sightings down to the Myrtles plantation, which is actually a really legitimately famous Louisiana plantation, which has had numerous ghost sightings. So we can have an action scene as the gang takes on some ghosts down in the French Quarter. And then another one where, they're in one of the infamous New Orleans cemeteries. And then it all culminates in this no-holds-barred blowout ending at the Myrtles Plantation, where every ghost in the country has assembled for the return of Gozer the Gozerian. And at the last minute, Ray, Winston, and Vinkman show up to help these young guns get things done.
I'm on board with that. Hey, I'm for it. I used to work out of Louisiana and have been all over the bayous and all kinds of places down in South Louisiana. So, yeah, that strikes a personal chord with me. So I like it.
Yeah, and I like the return of Gozer too. So mine, because it kind of ties into that a little bit. So I got parts of that.
Okay.
So mine was, and after I was thinking about it, I kind of went back and forth. I was like, okay, maybe we could do it with kids, and maybe it's like Stand By Me or The Sandlot or something. Maybe we could do it with the same people. Maybe it's their kids, like you were saying. Like maybe it's the son of Ray. So what I thought was it'd be really interesting with technology now the way it is, and everybody with the virtual reality and capturing things with our cell phones, that maybe what we do is I always wanted to know what inside the containment system looked like. And so maybe it's something where like Winston, right, because he'd be the one that's still around to be able to do something for us. Mm-hmm. Maybe Winston is like training the new recruits in these franchises, and something happens where it kind of thought of like a police academy stance so that we can get the comedy in it, like Citizens on Patrol or something. So they're training these new recruits. And
did you just reference Police Academy in the Ghostbusters movie, sir?
Heck yeah.
I don't know. Those 2 words, those should never be combined together.
I needed the comedy factor, so that was the thing.
All right.
So what happens is they're like on one of these training exercises, and somehow Winston gets trapped in one of the ghost traps. And so they have to use some kind of combination of virtual reality hooked up to a cell phone and some kind of particle accelerator or whatever to actually see inside the containment system and go hunt for Winston. And meanwhile, while they're in there, because they're not so experienced, as they're going along, they're actually releasing ghosts back into the real world so that when they actually find Winston, they can't escape unless the original Ghostbusters come back and trap what's been released in order to like exchange those ghosts for them in order to make them switch places.
You went full Heinrichs on this, didn't you?
I was trying to figure out some way to make it like modern with virtual reality and 30 years later and all that jazz. And
well, Brian, what do you think?
All I see is Jeff Fahey with
That's what I
Lawnmower
was
Man.
thinking. I'm like, where's Pierce Brosnan at?
We do share the same brain, don't we?
Ooh, that's funny. What about it? And I guess, Troy, you'll have to forgive me because when it comes to virtual reality, I am the guy that doesn't like those concepts.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it vehemently, but I figured the only way to see inside the containment system is to have some kind of VR experience because you can't really be energy inside of there itself. That would be too weird.
I do like the idea of being able to see inside there, but maybe we could do it a different way or something. Here's an idea. So Brian's got this idea where the Bermuda Triangle comes into play, where a cruise ship disappears. So maybe that's how you get the old guard in. Like they go to check that out to find out what's going on. Meanwhile, I mean, this is just because I'm piecing together everybody's ideas. Meanwhile, back in Louisiana, you've got, I don't know, I'm stuck on Louisiana just because that's where I found the most ghost stories. You've got you've got Ray's son who's trying to keep things together, and he's investigating some, like, just a huge influx of ghost sightings while they're checking that out. As they look into that more, they find more and more evidence that leads to this being tied into, because how close is Bermuda Triangle from Louisiana? It's really not that far, right?
No, I mean, it's Louisiana. You got Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. So, I mean, it's just off the coast of there, off the coast of Florida. So, I mean, it's, in the big scheme of things, not very far. Well,
they find there's ghost sightings from other Ghostbusters facilities and those general areas, which will eventually lead to either the Myrtle's plantation or the cruise ship, as it emerges for the Gozer's return. I really like Gozer's return, just because I think it ties everything together.
It could be like a third ghost, like a supreme being to Gozer, and then you could tie back in what was his name, Vigo, the painting guy from the second movie, and like both of them have to come back in order to like bring this third person back, and then you would have like this this trifecta of badness and ghostness.
Like tie the two previous ones together?
Yeah.
Oh.
To make the second one, you have to watch it, because it ties into the third.
Let me spit this out before I forget.
Okay.
All right. So we take the Bermuda Triangle idea. Cruise ship disappears. Bam. Pops up right there in the middle of Louisiana. Let's say it right in the middle of Lake Pontchartrain right there in New Orleans.
Okay.
We can tie in the plantation and all that stuff, whatever. Maybe, like I say, maybe that's, that's the new hub. That's the new hub that's drawing all these paranormal entities into it.
Because the Ghostbusters have forced them out of the city. So basically they have no more safe haven in the big cities where they used to have. So now they're going to these more rural areas, and the cruise ship they can't cross water, so they got to go on a cruise ship.
Training facility, which is maybe Arkansas, Missouri, somewhere relatively close, but still a little bit of a way. That would be too odd of a coincidence that they all just happen to be right there.
Ooh, I got it. Tying in with Troy said.
And that's where Winston is. He's like head over the training facility. They got all these branches all over the country. You got to have one location to train everybody. That's where he is. That's where Winston is. I don't know. Maybe we can work them all together at that point.
Well, working with what Troy said, the reason why they're all being pulled to Louisiana is because that's where the big data bank is, so to speak. The mega ghost server. Every city has been pulling ghosts for the last 30 years, and they've been pulling them out of their units at a certain, like, once a year or something, and sending them down south to where they put them in a mega storage unit. They're basically working together to get all of their ghosts out.
Oh, like a Iron Mountain type of situation. It's their offsite backup.
Yeah, it's like this is where we hold them long term. Like the facilities in the New York City, Chicago, that sort of thing can hold ghosts, but they can't hold them long term. So they end up having to ship the ghosts down south to one containment facility, and that's drawing all the other ghosts in because they need to prepare for a return of whatever we get to. We'll get to that.
And it becomes an environmental hazard, which lets us bring Walter Peck back into the equation.
Oh, God, I don't want Walter Peck back. I don't. I don't want Walter Peck.
Walter Peck is dead, and Walter Peck is the ultimate ghost.
Jeez.
So we have to kill him.
He still has no penis.
Let me get full on stupid. Just an idea.
Okay.
All these years, 30 plus years of ghost busting. What if some scientist one of the characters, whatever, realizes that this, by busting these ghosts, this is actually a bad thing.
Ooh.
That the ghosts give some sort of balance, and whatever this balance is, I don't know. Again, this is just literally speaking as I'm thinking. By busting these ghosts, we're creating an imbalance, and this could be some whatever parallel story to the environment and all that other stuff. Some teaching type, message or whatever. But anyway, we think we're doing something great, and blah blah blah. We're getting rid of all these ghosts, but by doing that, it causes some sort of imbalance with, it could be anything from time and space, or nature, or the polarity of north and south and all that stuff. Whatever the case is, we can make some sort of cataclysmic event that would happen by getting rid of all these ghosts. And so now they have to go, wait a minute, do we need to release some of these ghosts, or just, what do you think?
What about spinning off of that? And that's why I love the show. We can just all spin off each other's ideas. What if instead of that necessarily, there's someone similar to a peckish character? Is that a peckish? Similar to a Peck style character, sees it as an environmental hazard, similar to what happened. They've basically been trying to shut down the facility forever because they're claiming what you're saying, that it is in fact, everybody's talking environment these days, that is actually in fact an environmental hazard for various reasons. Therefore, it needs to be shut down. So it's not just because I don't understand it or I don't like it. It's because it's impacting the environment. Like the person that's suing for that to be shut down is actually either maybe he's possessed by a ghost, or he's doing it because with good intentions and it just doesn't work out. Like I don't want just another generic Peck character, just somebody going against the Ghostbusters, so to speak. And then they get it shut down and opens it up.
Well, maybe that person's like tied into the French Quarter, like voodoo type of thing. And maybe he's really ultimately kind of like Peter McNichol's character in the second movie, where he's like the henchman of Vigo. Maybe he's like that kind of person where he's trying to release the ghosts from this facility, this Iron Mountain, because he needs to absorb all that power for his voodoo-ness to become the ultimate gozer or whatever.
Yes to everything.
What does that mean?
That means yes. I like all these ideas. They're just,
you got to make one that's a coherent movie, though. We can't be too all over the place.
Well, here's how we go back to the Bermuda Triangle. Then maybe if collecting all of this ghostly energy in Louisiana or New Orleans or wherever, like Pontchartrain, maybe that starts to open up like these little vortexes. And those vortexes are manifested by the Bermuda Triangle existing, or some of those places. And strange things are just happening all around the world, yet they all end up in LA. And it's because we've been containing all these ghosts in this backup system for the last 30 years.
LA like Louisiana, or LA like Los Angeles?
LA like Louisiana,
Okay.
state of.
see down here, when we say LA, we say Lower Alabama. But,
Yeah, see, you're confusing everybody. I like that. So how does all this tie into one cohesive movie? Somebody's got to put this all together.
Just real quick, just so I'm clear, this containment facility, this storage, whatever, this is basically, it's like the more ghosts we cram in here, it's almost like it just attracts more. It's almost like a giant, it just makes a bigger and bigger magnet, so to speak, for all these others. Is that what I'm understanding? Or
yeah, that seems right to me. I mean, it would make sense too. I mean, it's pulling them all. Like you're housing all of our friends in one giant data bank, and it's pulling us toward them, and it's causing all of these, like he's saying, like vortexes in the world. It's just causing freaky crap to happen all over the world. I like that.
All right.
Which seems paranormal in nature, and people are like, I can't explain that. There's just a plane showed up in the middle of the ocean or whatever.
Well, I don't think anybody would see that because it just go down. So a ship disappearing and reappearing would definitely get some people talking.
Yeah, especially because Lake Pontchartrain is a lake, and not, I mean, it's one thing to be, I guess, not that I'm saying it would be any less weird if it popped up in the Mississippi River, but to be
in a
but
lake,
to be inside of a lake, that would, a giant cruise ship all of a sudden, bam, or a Navy aircraft carrier, which is ridiculous, but bam, it's a enclosed body of water.
Okay, so how would we construct the rest of the story? I think we've got some great ideas here. What's the best way to construct the most cohesive movie out of that? final.
I think the Bermuda Triangle section of it should just kind of be the grab. The first 10 minutes of the movie that grabs your attention and says, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
Mention everything else is going to be, taking place on land. Maybe that should be the little thing that gets your attention, and then we kind of transition over to L.A.
Louisiana. Don't mess me up, man. Lower Alabama, Los Angeles. What are we talking about? Don't abbreviate. Do you guys are you cool with the idea of having like it be like Ray's son mining one of these offshoots, and then the boys come back when things get heavy, or do you want like the old guard there the whole time? I mean, how would you see it? I guess.
I think you have to have one of the old guard there the whole time, like whether it be Winston or didn't Rick Moranis' character become a Ghostbuster in the second movie? Maybe he could
you could have it be
facility.
You can have it be a J stance. That's just a generic name because it's easy to reflect on Ray. But Winston's actually the trainer in his facility.
Right.
Maybe he's training the newbies and showing them the mega, like Ray, it would make sense Ray would entrust his son to run the mega storage facility. Maybe that's what he runs. And he's running that huge data bank or whatever. And Winston is training the newbies at a local franchise to kind of show them the ropes. That's where we learn about ghostbusting again. And then it starts with a grab, like Brian said. We go back, when we come back for credits, then we see these guys in their environment, see how ghostbusting works. We kind of get a backdrop on where things have been the last 30 years, and how this became a burgeoning business and now it's kind of fading.
And you can even have a phone call from one old guard to another. Like say, if we see Winston and he's got a more significant role, he could call up one of them and just be like, "Do you remember anything along these lines?" Or during that first time that we had the big issue, what was the name of that so-and-so? Or, do you have those files from this case or something like that? And you have a 1 or 2 minute little scene where, you get the cameo, so to speak. I don't think we want to overdo the old guard too much. Because I think it would take away from the current cast. But
well, you could have the woman owns the franchise and Jay or whatever Stance runs the data bank. So that way you've got two different groups that come together, and then she has like two newbies that work for her, and Winston's there offsite to train them, and that's kind of where they all come together.
Or maybe like Winston's in charge, and maybe you don't even do like the old guard. Maybe it's all their sons. So like Winston's in charge of like
that gets too cheesy to me.
Does it?
Yeah, that's too many. That's too many coincidences.
Yeah, that's like Teen Titans kids or Avenger babies or something like that. It just
Ghostbusters Dynasty.
I just trying to figure out a way to like work in new tech. Like maybe Egon's kid is like all about the new tech, and there's different ways to trap ghosts now or something.
You can make newbies do that. I mean, I think you gotta tread lightly with Egon in particular, just because he did pass away. I would rather like he's framed on the wall or something than have a direct nod to him, because it just.
Maybe the training facility is named after him.
There you go.
Go.
Egon Storage or something like that. Or Egon.
Yeah,
whatever.
And maybe Egon, they train, whatever. I don't know.
Egon Containment Systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Egon's Twinkie. Egon's Twinkie Containment Systems.
The ECS.
Okay, so then once. So now I'm really lost because too many people throw more ideas out.
Ectoplasmic gathering and organizing what's something for N network.
Nanotech network.
So name it something that says Egon. I like that. That's great. Oh, that's great. Wayne will have something when he does the trailer. How's that? That'll be be a nice little touch that Wayne can throw in when we have more time to think it out. So
it was designed originally too, so that's a nice nod.
Yeah, if you think of some acronym that works with Egon, then please send it to me. I'll make sure Wayne gets it. Okay, so that's the opening shot, was the disappearing cruise liner that reappears in the lake. What do you call it? What's the lake name?
Pontchartrain.
Lake Pontchartrain.
Thank you. I don't live there. Then you've got the containment storage facility, which is right there, and the franchise is right there. They end up working together, while Winston is the only Ghostbuster that's really in the movie consistently, which is kind of cool, because Ernie Hudson always got the short end of the stick in the original 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to find out that it's building to getting basically all the ghosts, they're all being pulled there. The storage facility ends up collapsing through somehow. Now, what is the means going to be? Is it going to be because the ghosts manipulate things or it just becomes they can't control it, or is it because man shuts it down? That's got to be a decision we got to make here.
Well, I guess then you have to go back to the how do we work in the Return of Gozer thing. So do you want to go back to the voodoo guy? And the voodoo guy on the outside is trying to collect the energy somehow. Maybe it's a break-in, like a heist movie. And he tries to steal the energy and put it into his own system.
I like voodoo because of the area of the country.
I'm big on the voodoo element, for sure.
I don't know about the stealing the energy thing. The voodoo guy could be the one who is arranging the coming of whatever, the ultimate evil. I mean, just name it something cool, really. I don't really know of any particular god that's out there. A godlike being.
Gozer 2.0.
Gozer 2.0, Dozer, Bozer, Hoser, Jozer. And he orchestrates via legal means a ways to shut down the databank and releases all the ghosts once they're all in the area. Once the other ghosts have assembled, so to speak. Ghost Avengers have assembled.
I kind of like the idea of somebody who thinks they're doing something good by shutting them down, but being completely wrong. But that's really, honestly, it's kind of similar to Ghostbusters, you know.
Well, except maybe you have the guy that's into the voodoo that's trying to arrange this this coming of this godlike character. He's actually, I mean, he's not your typical guy that looks like he's in the slums of New Orleans. He's a businessman. He's a lawyer, well-connected businessman or a lawyer, someone of highfalutin.
He's got a lot of pull.
Yeah, he's got a lot
connections.
Of pull. And he manipulates this poor other kid, this idealist, to shut this down because it's destroying Louisiana, which is already suffering economically. So he manipulates this kid into believing that by doing this, it's actually helping the environment because it's a danger to our local environment. And then after he shuts it down, he only realizes too late because the Ghostbusters come to find out as they learn that this was all a tactic to bring this godlike being back into the fold. And they needed the power of all those ghosts to do so.
Jeff Bridges and Iron Man, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, except he likes voodoo.
Right.
He likes this voodoo magic to bring back
his thing, not technology, so to speak. But
exactly.
Sure.
I think that's good. I'm done with that. I was just looking at one, and I think this is kind of funny. And maybe this makes it a comedy again. But there's an American demon god from the Mayan, literally called Huracan, like hurricane, which would be New Orleans and Lake Pontchartrain. Maybe that's too close to home, but
it works for me.
Baron Samedi.
Hurakan, the Mayan god of storms or bad weather. Huracan.
Baron Samedi. As well as being a master of the dead, Baron Samedi is also a giver of life. He can cure any mortal of any disease or wound if he thinks it is worthwhile. His powers are especially great when it comes to voodoo, curses, and black magic. He also ensures that all corpses rot in the ground to stop any soul from being brought back as a brainless zombie.
All right. I got it. Sorry, I got Joe Pesci mode here.
Okay.
Getty, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Ghede, otherwise known as Papa Getty. Getty is the eternal figure in black, controlling the eternal crossroads at which everyone must someday cross over. This is very fitting with ghosts and people. So his symbol is the cross upon a tomb, known as the spirit of death. Other spirits fear him and try to avoid him.
I'm in. I'm on board. I like it.
So if other spirits don't like him, do we have to make this so that the ghosts that we're capturing have to help the humans against Getty? Because the spirits are afraid of him too. He must be some real bad dude.
The part I'm focusing more on is the
Did you just call me a moron?
I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Get choked up. It did. It was like, as soon as I said it, it was like, God, I really closed those words in a little too close. It sounded way worse.
I'm going to have to close them even closer in editing.
Nobody would have picked up on if I hadn't have brought it up. But the part that I'm focusing on is he controls the crossroads at which everyone must someday cross over. So he's kind of in charge, and while these other spirits fear him, whatever he's up to in this region where everybody's being drawn to it, they may try to avoid him, but can't really stay away because they're just magnetically. It's like, it's like the Death Star. their tractor beam, so to speak. It's like a 360 tractor beam that they just can't help but be drawn to.
And he needs them all there for him to come back. It's kind of like a reverse effect. Like it pulls them in so he can come out.
Which is why they're afraid of him. Then they don't want it. They don't want to die themselves.
Well, they're kind of already dead, but yeah, they don't want to be they don't want to be dispatched.
They don't want to
dispatched, destroyed, vaporized.
Yeah.
They don't want to cease to exist.
Dusted. They don't want to be that. I like it. I think we finally got a movie. Took a while, but I think we finally got a movie. If you guys agree, is there anything else? And I think you definitely work in, like at the end, you have as many Ghostbusters, or throughout the film, you can have Ray and you can have Venkman, and Winston's already in there. And you can also probably throw in Janine somewhere. Like maybe she works at the storage facility because it's named after Egon, and she works there just in memory of him or something.
Yeah. I mean, she's some sort of tour guide. Almost, I hate to use the word caretaker, but she kind of oversees a lot of the things going on there. Sure. Yeah.
Or if you go back to one of my original ideas about getting captured and put into the containment system, maybe Venkman and Ray are somehow captured and become like the dogs in the first movie. Maybe they're like the henchmen of whatever his name was, Getty. Maybe those two are like the henchmen of Getty. They don't know it, and then when they finally defeat Getty, then it actually comes out and Venkman and Ray have been there the whole time.
Now you're adding more stuff when we were all done. What are you doing? What are you trying to hurt us here?
Well, it's supposed to be a remake, right? It's not supposed to be a new movie.
No. Well, no, we decided we weren't going to remake it. We were making an extension of the universe.
Okay.
Yeah. We could do whatever the hell we want, just like they're doing with their all ladies remake.
I would say that way Venkman and Ray don't have to be in the movie, and this is more like a cameo at the end.
Right. They could just be a cameo no matter what. I mean, we can just have Ray calling his son, or we can have Venkman showing up, or he's doing an investigation at the ship.
We
or
could
something.
make Dan Aykroyd the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Without any special effects.
Right. Total practical effects.
You're so mean.
I know.
We just got
I
sued.
love him. He's one of my movie comedic inspirations. But
Oh, yeah.
I just
Detroit.
couldn't resist a mean joke.
Well, good job. Good job. I think Troy's trying to make the movie longer. I like that. It would have been better about an hour ago, maybe. But I think we're kind of done. But you could throw him in there wherever you want. It's your movie. You throw him wherever you want.
I just don't want it to be like a cheap cameo, like calling his dad on the phone. I don't like that. There's got to be a purpose for them to be there. Otherwise, don't put them in the movie at all.
Well, I think if you keep it, I mean, because this sounds like a huge magnitude. So it would be enough to bring all the old guard back together to help the new guard fight them off. Now maybe they're not there for the final battle because you want that to be mostly your new kids on the block, but they're there to help fend off the ghosts while the new kids on the block take care of Getty once and for all. So that
as long as we don't Han Solo them, that's fine.
No, and no spoilers, but no.
I think that's lazy.
Yeah, that is lazy. None of that silliness will happen in our movie. Because our movie, everybody's walking out, it's going to be a happy ending.
So is this still a comedy or is this a little darker?
I think it's a little darker, but it's still a comedy. I don't understand people that want to make Ghostbusters like a thriller. Ghostbusters should be a comedy. That's the one thing it's known for. Most.
Yeah, it doesn't take itself seriously to begin with.
Exactly. So I don't think you could.
But I would want one or two moments that first are not advertised in any of the trailers.
Okay.
Two, that actually surprise you, scare you. Something that just comes out from the side that attacks somebody and something jumps out at them, whatever. If it's marketed as a comedy, great. But you have something that jumps out at you. Yeah, kind of like, like Cabin in the Woods when somebody will be standing there and all of a sudden giant tentacles shoot out of an elevator and just grab somebody and snatches them out.
Or the librarian.
It's not as scary.
The librarian from the original movie. Yeah, that was scary at the time.
Yeah. But
nobody stacks books that way.
Okay, so some scary moments, but still a comedy.
Oh, yeah. A comedy action movie.
Okay. So we start the movie. We've got the cruise ship that disappears and reappears in a lake, which is at, I always forget the name. What's the name of it? Lake?
Pontchartrain.
Appears in the lake, which sets the alarm bells off, I guess, in Ghostbusters Central, the local franchise, which then has to check that out. And you've got the data bank, which is right there near them. So you've got all these ghosts being pulled into this general area, and you've got a secretly voodoo high-up businessman who's manipulating a lawyer, good-natured, well-meaning lawyer, manipulating him to use legal means to shut that unit down because he needs the ghost to come out so that basically he can bring back his god, which is Getty. And you've got Winston working at the facility, helping the train, so therefore you've got an old guard on site, and then it all comes together at the end where the giant showdown, so to speak. Is that our movie?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
And because it's down in the swamp or whatever, that it's a giant Twinkie instead of a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Throw a giant Twinkie wherever.
It's a giant beignet or king cake.
There you go. All right, I think we got our movie. Is there anybody in particular you guys want to direct this thing?
Jon Favreau.
Huh. I like Jon Favreau. I could do that. Did Iron Man? Did Xanadu or Zathura? Xanadu. That's Olivia Newton-John. Xanadu. I could get behind Jon Favreau. Yeah, I
think he brings a good mix of the special effects that will be needed, the action, the comedy. There's a lot of guys. Of course, there's some other good directors too, but he was the first one that I thought of, and I was like, golly, and I just couldn't get my head around anybody else at that point. But I'm definitely open to sell me on somebody else.
Troy, you got any other ideas?
I'm okay with that.
Yep, so am I. I would have actually went with Paul Feig, and he's already doing a Ghostbusters movie, so, there we go. Any of these characters that you want to recast, especially like the two leads, the guy and the girl? My first choice would be Jason Sudeikis for the guy, the son, Dan Aykroyd's son.
We're casting all
what
four.
About just
throwing out, whoever you have somebody strongly feel about, like for the two leads, the guy and the woman. We've already got Winston, and then the two newbies can be anybody, whoever the hot young kids are right now. Taron Egerton and Rebel Wilson. Those are always those are who get named for everything. So
I hate to pull in Chris Pine, but I figure like you needed someone that's got like that smooth class to him, like Venkman had. I
think we've had Chris Pine in like 3 remakes in a row. So we should probably go for somebody else. Yeah,
but somebody like Chris Pine, someone that's got that sex appeal that's not Pratt or Damon or.
Well, that's why I think Sudeikis is, because he's got he is like a Bill Murray, Chevy Chase combination. Like he's the perfect mold of both those two guys.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So what about because to me he's a lot like Jason Sudeikis. Budget wise, he would probably cost less, but to me he's every bit as funny. Well, he's approaching to be as funny as Sudeikis, and that's another Saturday Night Live guy. He's on the current cast, the Taron Killam.
I don't know who that is.
Gosh, he's been in. I'm trying to think of some movies he's been in.
Maybe he's in there with Sudeikis, and my gosh, now we just have a bunch of Saturday Night Live people in it. And
I'm yelling cut because I really want Jason Sudeikis in my movie. So there you go. There's my cut. I want Sudeikis as the lead. You can have your Saturday Night Live guy, whoever the hell that is, but I want Sudeikis in the lead. So who's the woman?
Okay.
Who's the woman? Who's the funniest? Who's the best person that could fit the bill? I love having the idea of a woman that isn't, Dana. It's not the love interest. She runs the franchise. That's a cool idea. So
like you take an amalgamation of all the female characters that were in Ghostbusters, and I immediately go to Kristen Bell because I think she's just cute, funny, and she can totally do the voices. And
I gotta say, I like that. I'm with that. I'm sold. All right, I think
she doesn't have the legs like Dana had, but
I don't care.
Just depends if she has to float or not.
I think that's Jason Sudeikis and Kristen Bell. I think is a great combination. You guys can write in if you got a douchey guy for the voodoo businessman. There are a few nostalgic moments we have to have in our remake, and we're gonna throw these in at some point throughout the movie. Got to have the Ghostbusters hearse, just updated. You got to have a Twinkie analogy. Got to have the character that's playing Bill, like the lead, doing a nice little weird skip across the intersection. It's a nice nod. I like that. And lastly, somebody at some point in the movie has to say, he slimed me. I don't see how you don't do that.
That's a must.
That is a must. Absolutely. It's almost time to hear our trailer, but you know what? Let's hear one more clip from the movie. Here we go.
Well, you could believe Mr. Pecker.
My name is Peck.
Or you could accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. There, I got it right. Troy, you happy?
I've seen stuff so scary it'll turn you white. Best line of the movie.
Oh, well, here now we get to hear a trailer performed by Wayne Henderson of MediaVoiceovers.com of our completely absurd Ghostbusters remake that is not even remotely similar to the original. And we're basically creating an extended universe look with the actual Ghostbusters are still in play. So here's our trailer from Wayne Henderson. Take it away, Wayne.
In 1984, 4 New Yorkers took the spirit world by storm and proved to us all that ghosts definitely do exist. Over 3 decades have passed, and the former glory of Ghostbusters franchises across the country have started to fade. With most of the slimy specters now off the grid, things have almost gotten back to normal. That is, until a Bermuda cruise ship suddenly disappears from the ocean and somehow miraculously reappears smack in the middle of Lake Pontchartrain, Louisiana. While ghosts worldwide all converge on the local myrtles plantation, and a mysterious businessman uses a local do-gooder to shut down the global containment systems housed at the Ecto Grouping Oversight Network nearby, Jay Stantz teams up with Hannah, their local franchisee, and even brings Winston back into the fold to chase down the truth behind how big this Twinkie of terror really is. Trust us, it's a big-ass Twinkie. There's something spooky going on here, real wrath of God type stuff, as our heroes inevitably learn of the ancient evil about to drop a battle of the undead deep in the heart of the bayou. Will the Ghostbusters be enough to stop hell on Earth? Prepare to feel so funky as Jason Sudeikis and Kristen Bell slap unlicensed nuclear accelerators on their backs in director Jon Favreau's reimagined vision of the greatest supernatural crime fighters the underworld has ever seen. This summer, there's only one question you need to ask yourself. Did I remember to turn off the gas stove at home? No, not that question. You need to ask yourself, who you gonna call?
All right, Wayne. Nice job, as always. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you guys
He
think...
rocks.
Yeah, he does rock. So what do you guys think? Did we nail it, or do you think you have a better pitch? Email us your thoughts on this week's show, casting ideas, or your short pitch, to remakethismovie.right@gmail.com. We might mention you on the next teaser episode. That's remakethismovie.right@gmail.com. Review us on iTunes, thumbs up on Stitcher, plug us in your podcast app of choice for our RSS feed. However you listen to podcasts, we are available. Please be sure to subscribe. You can also find Wayne Henderson once again at MediaVoiceovers.com. He has a podcast, 11/22/63, A Look Back with Mr. Troy Heinrichs. We do have a Remake This Movie Right Facebook group, as well as a Hollywood Outsider Facebook group. Find both of them, join in. There's a lot of great people in there having a lot of great conversations. Be sure to talk to them. Thanks to Brian Williams for being here. Where can people find you, Brian?
Twitter at Brian, BRIANWMS, and also on the Hollywood Outsider. That's where I'll be.
And Troy Heinrichs, where can people find you, sir?
Aaron already mentioned it, 11/22/63podcast.com or theblacklistexposed.com. Follow me at Troy Heinrichs. That's Heinz Ketchup Ritz Crackers, no Z in the middle.
You make that so complicated. Or super easy. I don't know which one. I really can't decide.
It doesn't taste good, that's for sure.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I know. He just made it weird. What do you guys think? Do you think we made the right remake? Do you feel good about it? Do you feel, I don't know, there's so many, because I kind of have a vibe.
Man, I like this. I get so animated with these things to where I just wish we were all in like a big conference room and I had these white erase boards and stuff where you're just scribbling notes as we're going, and because I'm a visual guy.
Yeah,
So.
you like to draw pictures when you're telling your story.
I do.
Yeah, it's like so you're just drawing a triangle, and then you're drawing whatever Lake Pokachakawaki, whatever the hell it is, and then
Yeah, and then I got arrows going from one direction to the other. It looks like John Madden just threw up all over the board. So
That's great. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. I like this remake. I think there are so many different ways you could go with Ghostbusters. Love to hear some of your ideas. So if you got a short pitch, please use that email, remakethismovieRight@gmail.com on our next teaser episode. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Short. Yes, short. Not book report, short. Not like what we just did. That's when you start your own podcast. If just for the teaser, just send us a short little 1-paragraph description of what your idea is. Love to hear them. Thanks to Brian and Troy for being here. That's going to do it for this episode. RemakeThisMovieRight.com. Twitter is @RemakeRight. Troy, you want to take us out?
You betcha. It's always a good time being here. Remember, every movie's going to get a remake someday, but only you or us can make it better.
And even after our remake, the flowers are still standing.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.